Hello, and welcome to another episode, actual play thing for the Roll Wise podcast. This week, we're going to be doing a little bit of a continuation or an actual continuation. I don't know why I minimized that. We're going to be doing an actual continuation of our playthrough of the Fathomless Sleep
Our
in the
ongoing
our,
adventure
our
in
ongoing
Cthulhu Confidential.
yeah, our ongoing playthrough of Cthulhu Confidential, where we play the investigation game, the Fathomless Sleep. Um, this has been pretty fun so far. I have enjoyed it. It's very much a different take on how I played investigation games, and I think that I'm enjoying the heck out of it, even though it's just a one-on-one, like kind of more intense environment. How are you liking it so far, Brent? Do you like it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it so far. I was looking forward to continuing today. So
Yeah, and we'll do, of course, once we're done with our playthrough here, we'll get ourselves a little bit of a debrief. We'll share our thoughts as to what we like about it, who the game might be for, and also I might even have a chance to play this with my wife. She wants to give it a crack, even though she is not a role player, so we may even get the opinion of a non-role player as well that I could share.
I think you have to tell her if she's played 2 games. I think that makes her a role player now.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Wait, which 2 games? She played 1.
yeah, and this would be her second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was about to say 2 games before this. Who is she role playing with?
Oh, the worry of all nerds.
Wait,
Who are you playing games with?
you're going to play with somebody else and not me? Yeah, that might be it. That might be it. So we appreciate everybody stopping back by. We enjoy these types of actual plays, and of course, if you like them too, because this is more reflective of a low production quality, kind of more around your table than high production quality kind of setup and all that kind of stuff. But if you like these, like, subscribe, give us comments, share the love, all that kind of stuff. We hope to see you either in the chat while we play, or of course in the comments when this is all just a recording in the YouTube world. And with that, I don't have anything else. Brett, did you have anything you wanted to let everybody know about before we go?
No, I think I'm good to go.
Okay. All right. Well then, ta-da. We made it. So let's go ahead and just kind of get a little bit, we set the scene a little bit for our hard-boiled detective noir. I was all of a sudden like, hard-boiled, is that really it?
You want like hard-boiled eggs?
Sometimes I think my personality doesn't allow me to play a really serious game.
I mean, the thing about really serious games is like everybody handles tension differently,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a tendency to handle tension with comedy, like trying to make
cracking jokes and stuff.
Yeah, so sometimes I know I ruin tense games for people, but
yeah, we're never going to be the most dramatic actual play on YouTube. We're
probably not.
We're gonna stumble through the tense parts, just normal. Okay, so I'm gonna try to set the scene here a little bit, just to get us in the mood.
Recap? Is there with your recap?
Sure, let's call it a recap. So here we go. The morning paints the streets in shades of gray. You've just finished breakfast with Ted, an old chum from the force. He didn't have much to offer on the deacon mess, just a promise to keep his ear to the ground. The aroma of burnt coffee and the dull hum of the diner fade as you step back into the embrace of the city. It's still pretty early morning, but the day feels heavy as you try to unravel the leads in your investigation. The remnants of what you've been investigating so far do tug at your thoughts. A bloody camisole sits with Dr. Virginia Ashbury as she does a little bit of forensic analysis. The cryptic order of the Argent Light, a somewhat mysterious New Age religion, and Helen seems to be, of course, buying what they're selling. Marshall Daly's cagey demeanor and mentions of swanky mob-run casino indicate Helen didn't run with the most savory crowd before her disappearance. You have some leads. Where are you going to start?
Well, since it's day, and a little birdie told me that I couldn't go to the casino early in the day because they don't do their mob run games or in the early morning. I will go. What I would like to go do is I would like to go check out the. I'm gonna go check out the chapel church.
Okay.
Just to kind of scout the area out, kind of look around, see if I can get inside or see who's available. Just to kind of check out the Order of the Argent Light.
Argent Dawn, I believe, is World of Warcraft.
Oh, you're right. You don't believe that? You know that for a fact? You mean?
Maybe. I'm not going to say I
You can neither confirm nor deny.
need to confirm. Yeah.
Well, the Argenting of lighting. That's where I'm going. I'm gonna go check out their church first.
Okay.
So I'll.
Yeah. So basically, to get to this place, obviously you seem to be more of a taxi cab type.
I was gonna say, do they have cable? Do they have trolleys at this time in LA? Or is it
Probably.
just cabs?
I know that in San Francisco that was a big deal, but trolleys probably existed to some degree.
Sure, I'll take a cab. We'll say cab since I'm not sure.
And you're flush with money.
I'm not good at keeping it either.
Apparently, hey, I'm just saying. So basically, in order to get to the kind of the chapel where the Argent Light is said to be, you do find yourself just off Hollywood Avenue, on a little street called Loma Linda. As you kind of look at the different buildings around, you do see one that does stand out a little bit. It is a picturesque Pueblo style bungalow. It does have like the adobe walls radiating kind of like that warmth that you see with that type of construction. And it is pretty much like it's like a southwestern building, and it's kind of odd because considering the buildings around it aren't in that same style, it definitely stands out from everything that you see there.
Does it look like a house that was like? Does it look like it was a house at one time?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's not super big, but it does stand kind of in between with a little bit of it does have a little bit of property. It's like one of those places where development came up around it, and in this case, it doesn't seem as though the original owners are the ones that still have it, because in the front you do see basically a sandwich board that it looks like it's been put out for the day, and it's like all seekers are welcome kind of thing.
It looks like they're going to do palm readings. Is that kind of what it looks like to me?
It doesn't give you the impression that it's a palm reading.
I'm making a joke because that's the same thing. That's the same setup that.
What's her name? Oh, sandwich boards are really popular.
That's the same thing that Madame Eve had outside of her shop was a sandwich board.
It's California. They got rules.
Everyone needs to have a sandwich board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So. No, you like sandwiches.
Whatever.
Me too. So they basically have a sign out saying that they're open right now and you can go inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go inside.
Okay. Well, as you get closer, of course, you've got like irregular flagstones that kind of lead up, and it seems to be fairly well taken care of. But what they lead up to is a heavy looking wooden door. And what's interesting is that framed around the wooden door is you do see these hand carved pillars. And it seems to be in a lot of like just strange mystical symbols and motifs. And so like kind of going through there, some of them you recognize, but some of them you definitely don't. And it looks as though it's entirely carved.
Like what are the ones that I recognize?
It's when you see that guy from The Mummy, it's got like he has that like thing. He's just like, do you know this thing? You see
like there's like an ankh and like a
yeah,
like a
you see variations of the crucifix and everything like that. It just seems as though there's it's like they're trying to get all of them in on the door almost. But some of them you don't recognize. But like I said, the Mummy is the guy who probably is the easiest to kind of reference because he pulls out as like, are you Buddhist? Are you this?
Yeah. So it's just but so I recognize like basically the original the religious symbols, but probably not some of the more esoteric symbols. Is there any of the symbols that makes my mind want to cry? Okay, no yellow sign on the doorway.
No
Okay,
eldritch signs, no nothing like that.
okay,
At
good.
least not that you found. I mean, it is Where's Waldo. You could have to.
I mean, if you look at the elder sign, basically your mind starts to go like right away immediately. So if that was in there, I think I would probably know by now.
No. As you study it, you're just like mind is blown away. No. Not yet.
I'm the third body stacked on the porch this morning.
Welcome, seekers. Come on. No, not that kind of seeker.
No
Okay.
yellow sign in the doorway. Okay. So is it the door closed or is it open?
It's currently closed. I mean, probably to keep the hot air out.
Okay. Well, I will knock then.
Okay. So what you notice is that as you go up to the door, you kind of like knock. But the door itself has like basically like a little slide on there. And after knocking a few moments, you basically see the slide open. And they say
Wait,
yes.
wait, it has a slide like I would expect at the illegal casino, not
Mm-hmm.
in a religious organization.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And you see someone just kind of poke out and they just kind of open the door when they say, "Oh, are you a seeker?"
I was gonna give the password gravy. Yes, I'm seeking answers. Is what I
Okay.
say is Dex.
So once you get basically what seems to be the case is that you see kind of an older lady. She kind of ushers you into the building, and the building itself is, I would say, I mean, it seems as though it's been converted at this point. Here, let me take notes. The main room his seems to have been transformed into what would be kind of like a spiritualist chapel. The walls are lined with shelves holding kind of an eclectic mix of ancient looking tomes, occult seeming artifacts, um, sepia tone photographs of mystics and ascetics, and everything like that. And kind of off to the side, you see a bookstore dedicated to what appears to be the supernatural New Age religion and everything. Kind of in the center, you can actually see a prominently displayed kind of like on a table. You see kind of a prominent book, and it's actually an author that you've heard of. It's William Dudley Pelley's. He's an author of, and it looks like it's a collection of his essays on the afterlife, and it's got like a big advertisement saying that all the copies on the table are signed. But the woman who's greeted you kind of introduces herself as Clara, and she's middle aged. She looks the part. She's wearing kind of some loose clothing, and she ushers you in, saying, "Welcome, welcome. All seekers are welcome."
I say Clara Neville.
Uh, yes, I I am Clara Nebel, and I am sorry, but I don't think we've met before.
No, I heard your name from a friend of mine. A fellow seeker gave me your name a while back, and I just have recently been able to come to check out the church.
Hmm. Well, we are here to help all those that pursue lofty goals, and she kind of welcomes you in, and she's like, "Well, I'm glad you were able to make the journey. Who referred you?"
A young woman named Jesus, I can't remember Helen's last name.
Deacon?
Helen Deacon.
Oh, she kind of looks a little bit, like at you after you mentioned the name Helen Deacon. Um, and she's like, "Oh, you know Helen?
Yes, I know Helen. She's I'm a friend of their family.
Hmm. Okay." Um, she's like, "Oh, that's so weird. Maybe she was preaching outside, but she didn't seem. It always seems so weird. Helen just um didn't seem to mix well with the other seekers that were here. But I'm glad she's spreading the good word. So what brings you here then?"
I'm actually I wanted to learn about the church, but I also am just kind of curious, ask a few questions about Helen herself. You said she really didn't fit into the church. Um, what makes you say that?
Well, I mean, so Helen, I think she was a deeply troubled girl. I mean, the poor girl. She really couldn't find a place for herself, and really, you know how it is when your spirit is disoriented. It can really be hard to find direction. And I'm sure and as a friend of the family, that her mother passed away a couple of years ago,
Mm.
and I think that caused a lot of ripples in their entire family's life. And in terms of Helen, what it did is it basically sent her on a wayward path where she tried to find purpose, and she really struggled. And that's why I think she really didn't get together with a lot of the other seekers. She really wanted to talk with me more than the other um, the other adherents, and she really wanted to just speak to me one on one. She didn't really like any of our group sessions or anything like that.
What did she talk to you about specifically? Anything?
um she talked a little bit about like she talked a little bit about her waywardness and how she could get on the right path again. um I think it is funny because I think she really came here just as I think probably as a joke. She came with some other silly girls, but it seems as though only Helen really seemed to see the value in coming through here. Um, but I think that she, in order for her to find her way, she was really fighting some uphill battles because, um, Clara's sister really didn't approve of her.
Helen's
uh,
sister?
Sorry, Helen's sister didn't really approve of um, her coming to our meetings and helping our cause, let's say.
Well, I don't know if you heard, and this is kind of the tragedy of the situation, is Helen did disappear.
Hmm.
And I was wondering when the last time you saw Helen was. I've been asked to kind of help the family deal with the situation of her disappearance. Um, and and I just wanted to know if in learning your random enlightenment for myself and that Helen was looking for, I was just wondering when was the last time you saw her here potentially?
Well, the last time I saw Helen, and I did hear about the poor girl's disappearance. Um, I saw her about a week beforehand, and really, I knew something was up. There was a dark cloud that hung over her. Her aura was just aflame and different disturbances. Um, and I mean, really, what's and she kind of like looks at you and she's like, what was really crazy is that there was kind of the spore of an ancient gnawing evil, something that she had probably walked over or been around or something like that. Um, but and this is all this stuff, but she kind of draws you in a little bit. She's like, I kid you not, it must have been my contact with Helen, because almost immediately after, in one of my meditations, I had a vision of a great lever, once alive, but now stilled. And I offered, because I had this vision before she disappeared, and I offered to give Helen a protective right. Um, but, and Helen said that she would do it, but she just, because her sister had kind of cut off, cut her off, she wasn't able to make the required
Pulled
donation.
her from the church, yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't able to make the required donations for the types of supplies we needed to do such a strong protective um, seance
I think you wanted the word ritual, but close enough.
ritual. That's close.
Okay.
Ritual is what I meant. You're right.
Seance involves dead people.
It does. I'm sorry.
No,
Misspoke.
no, 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 you're fine. I shouldn't correct you. I'm probably a dick for doing that, but
That's okay. My fault.
uh, no, I take the blame. Okay. So she saw her like a week before she disappeared.
Hmm.
They tried to gaffle her for more money to try and save her with her protective right, which may or may not be legit. Um, I have any other exact questions? So, did her sister ever come here and like pull her out of the meetings, or was it just a situation where she just couldn't come anymore because?
No, she never came, you know, and as much as she talked about her family, you know, I mean, she you know, it seems as though um one of the things that, you know, was really kind of tricky is that her sister never came by here. I think she did mention that she talked to her sister to really try to have her sister come by and see the benefit that we provide
Mhm.
and, you know, the guidance that we can give people spiritually. Um, but she never really took you know, the sister really never took to it, and I think she kind of feels, you know, as much as those people that are kind of stuck in their secular ways, she doesn't really believe most of these things.
Right.
And of course her father, from what little I know of his influence on her life, he doesn't really seem like the type that's also drawn to these higher pursuits.
Right.
um mhm.
So yeah, so I think that's all the questions I have for her right now. Um, but I will stay a little bit longer and let her do her like religious like speech. Um, whatever, just making small talk more about like because I don't want her to think that I just came to talk about Helen. So
Mhm.
I spend a little bit of time talking to her about, I don't know, spiritual things.
Okay.
And then I leave a small donation, like a couple of bucks, and then leave.
Sure. So she does mention that the one thing that one of the biggest disturbances, you know, and it kind of rounds back to this, is that you know, and she kind of mentions, you know, after kind of opening up, she's like, perhaps as a means to compensate for the weakness of her father, um, she seemed, you know, Helen seemed like she was always drawn to older men, the kind that, you know, like the kind of men with resolve like her father used to have before the death of his wife. However, the worst of the people that she fell into was Whitey Alexander. And I and she's like, she kind of looks at you and she's like, if you don't know him, it's good. But otherwise, she does, after you kind of like, you know, listen to her droning on for a little bit longer, she does mention that she's like, you know, I I see that, you know, you're at least open-minded about this. And I don't blame you. You know, it's good to have a healthy amount of skepticism. Like when you walked in, I could tell that you were maybe not here to seek the light, but maybe something else. There's something about your demeanor. And she's like, your aura also reads in a certain way that is a truth seeker, but not seeking that higher order yet. But there is a secret master that lives here in Los Angeles. And she's like, she kind of like looks over at the book and she's like, I don't know if you know this, but William Dudley Penley, you know, his treatises on the afterlife and everything like that. Um, you know, he wrote them with a greater Christian mindset and audience in intent, but really, uh, she kind of like looks around and she's like, but in fact, it was Nodens that is who he met. And I mean, really, he kind of changed. He changed the entire. He changed it so that it was more palatable for the masses. But he was given these. He was given powers to help plan and combat dark forces. It's pretty amazing. So if you are interested in getting a little bit closer to the spiritual side of things, you can start here. But we have backing of powerful spiritual figures.
Nah, she sold me. I'll buy one of his books.
Okay. She she's you know, so you can't tell if it was a sales pitch or a real thing, but she's happy to sell the book, let's
I'm
say.
sure. I'm sure it was a real thing. I'm sure she's sincere. But I'm curious about some of the thoughts because maybe Helen had something. There was something in this that Helen was invested in. So yeah, I buy the book and leave a small donation, unless
Okay.
she has anything else left up to offer.
No, she thanks you for the donation. It's people like you, seekers that you know also give generously of their money that help us take this mission to more people and maintain our spiritual grounds.
Well, I thank her deeply for educating me and answering my questions, and appreciate
Mhm.
it. And I wish her well, and maybe I will return.
Okay. She gives you a card that basically, gives you information about the chapter
I,
and everything.
I give her my card in case anything comes up. So we trade cards.
Sure. Mm. Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, I head out with my book.
Okay.
What was that guy's name?
Um,
William Dudley.
William Dudley Pelly.
Wheelie Dealy Pelly. Gotcha.
Sure. That's his name, Willie Dilly Pedley. It is now, I guess. Moving on.
Okay, so I head out,
Okay.
and so Helen had something to do with Wade then, huh? So I think I am going to use that mechanic. I can use a push, you said, right? That's what the term was?
Yeah, so basically you have a certain number of pushes, and based on the number of advances you have, your pushes can go up and down. So it's important to track how many pushes you have earned and used, because advances you've done up until this point give you extra pushes when you get that.
Okay, well, I am going to make a push about Whitey. Whitey is the one that runs the
Yeah.
he runs the
So
casino. Whitey runs the casino, but he's backed by the guy McAfee,
yep,
right?
Guy McAfee. Yep. And just as kind of a reminder, because I know there's like the one thing that's interesting about this is that there's a ton of detail. Let me get you that information. Basically the Allegria, you know that Whitey Alexander runs this gambling den.
Mhm.
He does answer to the system. The system is the old line white shoe Anglo mob, and
Right.
that's where Guy McAfee runs in because he's the crime lord kind
Right,
of
he's the represent. Oh, he runs the what are they called?
the system.
He runs the system. Oh, Guy runs the system, and the system runs the casino with
Mhm.
Whitey as the head.
Correct. And so that's basically how you would guess that most of the any kind of bad corruption in the police office, the police force, is due to Guy McAfee having his old connections and everything like that, and basically making them much more money looking the other way
Right.
than finding him. And of course, Whitey himself does enjoy a reputation as a mobster you can depend on to treat you right. But that's mostly in the form of, if you're doing stuff to help him make money or you're not getting in his way, he's usually an okay guy. Um, but if you do want to spend a streetwise push, you'd go ahead and mark that, reduce your pushes by one. And it's you in this case, it buys you a respectful relationship, not a friendly one. You guys aren't friends or anything like that. Um, his attitude would be something like, for a dick, you're all right. Like
Where do you mark the push?
on your character sheet, there's that push section. It should say 3 in the beginning, but then it would go up to 4 and then 2. I mean, you might have to mark it on like a notepad or something like that because I don't think your character sheet actually is editable.
Well, I don't see it on the actual character sheet anywhere.
Oh, you don't?
Uh,
Neat. Uh, just put it on a notepad somewhere.
Push used 1, and it's a streetwise, and it's specifically streetwise.
Yeah, so the pushes themselves don't actually come with any type of
Okay.
mechanical, they're like pushes are just labeled as pushes. How you use them though is you remember you have an investigative ability that allows you to succeed, but if you use a push, sometimes you can get more out of it. So like if you're assessing someone's honesty, you might find out, for example, they're being cagey, but if you use a push, you might find out why they're being cagey, those kind of
Okay.
things.
And by using this push, you said that I kind of influence the narrative and make it so we've had a not a friendly relationship, but a
But a
respectful.
respectable. Yeah, so
Okay.
Whitey knows of you for what that's worth and is willing to, at least engage in conversation as an acquaintance.
Yeah, so I think what that relationship will be is
Mhm.
he actually came to me and I helped him find somebody once.
Okay.
They weren't able to find somebody, so I helped him find somebody. What happened after that, I don't know. Because I really didn't know who he was at the time, but I helped him
Sure.
out. And so that's where a kind of respectful relationship comes from.
Sure. Quick service. You found the person that they were looking for,
I
probably
told
to
him
that person's
I
detriment.
told him I told them where they were, and that's all that happened. That's all that I care to know about.
And you don't ask questions. That's really important.
That's right.
They were
Exactly.
like, I found him. Okay, see ya. Here's your
Yeah.
money.
Well, like I said, I really didn't know who he was, so I didn't really know what was going to happen at the time,
Yeah.
and I probably needed money, so I didn't ask around enough, and only found out later that he's a mobster.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so I'm gonna use that push. I got a mark that I used a push.
Hmm.
It now says push used 1 on my notepad. And let's see. I am going to. So I probably spent like an hour or 2 hours
Hmm.
um at the church.
Okay.
So what time of day is it now?
That would probably make it with travel time and everything like that. Probably close to noon, 1 o'clock.
Okay. Um, do I know where the Deacon house is?
She gave you her contact information and everything like that. And also the Deacons, they're a fairly well-known family in LA, even at this time. So it wouldn't be hard to find them. It's
But
kind of like
she told me not to go to the house though, basically, right?
she would I mean,
She was pretty evasive about me coming to the house.
yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things where she's like, well, I mean, don't come to the house. Because
Right.
she doesn't
So
want to embroil.
I'm gonna go back to my office and make a phone
Mhm.
call, like to speak to her if she's available to like swing by my office.
Okay.
I'd
Yeah.
like to ask her a few follow-up questions about her sister.
Sure. So you can make the call, and she has a couple things that she has to do, but she can be there in the afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna start reading the book, to see if I can glean anything
Mhm.
from Willie Dilly's book. Um I know you hate me. I'm sorry. And then yeah, just kind of wait for her to come to the office because I want to ask her some questions.
Okay. Yeah. So reading through the book, you find out the essays are really hyperbolic. So far, it does, it seems like it's mixing a lot of religion and kind of but the way it speaks is a little bit unique in so much as that, he's speaking from like a person who truly believes they had like a near death experience where they met a being like Christ or something like that. Um, it is very engrossing and engaging, but it is also from your perspective, you weren't really the most spiritually aligned. My understanding is correct.
Correct.
So it seems like the wishful ramblings of a person who is fantasizing about religion. Nothing really comes of it though, other than like how, like their perspective on the afterlife and what is this all for and everything like that.
Right.
And it's various essays. And it was a more expensive book than you expected, but it is signed by the author themselves.
Yeah, of course it is. I do have his name though now, so I have a thing that I can reference if I ever need to find him, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so yeah, I just kind of read as far as I can read. Kind of
Hmm.
matching like the esoteric meaning that the esoterica in the book
Hmm.
with kind of what she was discussing in my
Okay.
head, and trying to just picture what Helen was. I mean, basically, I can understand that Helen was looking for salvation for some reason.
Hmm.
Didn't just seem to be confusion. So yeah, I sit and take some notes and wait for the other deacon to show up.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't take too long. And kind of in the later afternoon, she comes and knocks on your, frosted glass door. Um, Obviously, since you're in there, it's not locked. She can open it up right away.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I asked her to take a seat.
Okay.
Just have some questions, some follow-up questions based on some of the things that I've been some of the research and investigation I've been doing. The first thing that I'm going to ask her is what can she tell me about her conversations with Helen about the Argent Light, Church of the Argent Light.
Mm, I mean, so basically, um, what you can, I mean, she doesn't really have a lot to say about the Argent Light. What she thinks the Argent Light was is a group of con men and schemers that were trying to find ways to get her family's fortune, which is why about 6 months ago, she pretty much like cut Helen off from any sort of major allowance and just kind of was trickling money to her. And especially was trying to make sure that none of that money went to the Argent Light.
Oh, so Helen didn't say anything specific to her about the church or their teachings or anything.
She
This is what I say. I say, so Helen didn't say anything to you about the church or their teachings because in my investigation, like she said, she gave the impression that she had tried to talk you into coming down to the church and finding more about what was going on.
uh, if she did, it came in the form of asking for money and donations for this place.
Hmm.
Um, Past that, I kind of tuned it out.
Okay. Okay, perfect. That's that helpful information. Is she the one that told me about Marshall? Or did somebody else tell me about Marshall Daly?
She told you about Marshall. She mentioned that he was a guy that had come to the house, if my memory serves. And she kind of gave you a rough description of what he looked like.
Okay.
Yeah, he meant the only man Margaret can name is Marshall Daly from Capitol Pictures.
I do tell her that I did speak with Marshall, and I tell her I'm basically building a timeline on what happened up until she disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
I ask her if she knows anything about the casino. I'm not saying the whole name because I'm going to say it wrong every time. So
Uh, yeah, she's like, yeah, I know more about the Allegria than I should. Um, she kind of like looks at you and she's like, did you have anything specific you wanted to know about our relationship to this ill-fated establishment, or this establishment of ill and sin?
um and sin, that seems a little judgmental. I Well, I asked her, is this a common hangout for Helen? Is this where Helen liked to hang out, or what? Or is it not? Is the relationship that you're saying your family has with the Allegria not? Is that it? Allegria? Did I say it wrong?
Sure, why not? Allegria.
I thought that's how you were pronouncing it.
I just find it funny because you're like, I'm not going to say this name.
Well, I can't. Well, I'm trying to do it in character, so he would say
Yeah.
it at this point. I'm not going to say it again. Is it a familial relationship, or is it directly through Helen?
Well, actually, it's even worse. Unfortunately, so our father Roscoe was a strict. Our father Roscoe was strict. He was a kind of a stern Lutheran, who forced himself to kind of work and work and work all of his life at the family firm. Um, Unfortunately, 2 years ago, after our mother died, he changed. He decided right there and then that he had worked hard enough and announced to the world that he would enjoy the youth that he had missed. He put the company in our hands, which is why I had to cut Helen out of the company finances because it wasn't her piggy bank. It also wasn't Roscoe's piggy bank. Um, but Roscoe, up until we cut him off, he was spending a lot of his time gambling, and apparently that's what he meant by enjoying his youth, is just gambling away as much of his fortune as he could, um, and
Carousing, if you will.
carousing. And unfortunately, Helen shares a similar streak of wildness and everything like that. But unfortunately, Roscoe is the one who got in too deep. Um, I paid his debts about 6 months ago and cleared the books. I paid every penny he owed, but I said that, if anything past this point is going to be your trouble and your trouble alone. It's not going to be, something that the shareholders or the company are going to be responsible for. So he's just going to have to take care of it on himself. Unfortunately, I'm not sure he's learned his lesson. But that's it's hard. He's definitely not telling me if he's going back to those kind of places, but I suspect he is. And he's
Just
probably spending more money than he should.
well, that does have a tendency to happen in those places.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know any other relationships that Helen may have through the casino? I know you guys didn't talk very much, but anything else curious that stands out?
She thinks, and she's like, I can't really think of any other relationships. I mean, obviously, I hate to say this, Helen probably visited the casino, maybe with Roscoe, in fact, maybe with Father, but I wouldn't put it past her to frequent those kinds of places, especially since it just seemed to be the kind of state she was in.
Okay. I asked her if she's ever heard the name Whitey Alexander.
She nods and says yes. That's the one that Roscoe was so deep into. I mean, he was so deep that his life was in danger. And that's really why I stepped in. And that was about 6 months ago.
Okay. Do you know if Helen had any contact with Whitey or Mr. Alexander?
She's like, I don't know. The only man that I was aware of that she had seen was Marshall, with Mr. Bailey.
And what are your connections to the Communist Party? No, I'm just kidding.
Communist? Visibly shudders, I guess. I don't know.
What are you accusing me of, Mr.
I'm a capitalist.
We're all capitalists.
We're all capitalists in here.
Okay. I make small talk with her for a little while, ask her some kind of passing questions. But I think that's all I have for now.
Okay. Yeah, she seems like she's willing to make small talk. Nothing that you ask her past that really gets her any information. Again, she doesn't really seem to have any sort of any more information on Helen or anything like that. But she does give you the update that Helen is still in is basically still in that kind of like it is still broken feeling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She hasn't improved or anything. I know it's kind of short into your investigation, but she's still
and I tell her I do like to do updates every so often, and if I have anything that comes up that I have any questions on, I'll probably contact you again in the same way. Just to kind of keep things consistent, and if I run out of money.
Are you asking for money on this trip?
Nope, not yet. Nope, not this trip. Okay. I still feel pretty flush right now. It's a little early to ask.
Fair enough. Okay. So once she feels that reasonably the business is included, it's probably been a good half an hour talk that you have with her about various things and everything like that. But she excuses herself and calls a car to take her back.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, once that's done, what time do I think that the place is going to be opening, the casino?
Sometime after supper, so probably in the next little bit. You probably have enough time to eat and then head that way.
Then that's what I will do. I will go and I will get a small meal, and then I will head back. I will head out to the casino.
Okay. Sure. So
I periodically check and make sure I'm not being followed by a communist hunting reporter.
Actually, no communist hunting reporters this time.
Good. I mean, my communism is
because he was trying to determine if you were
police. Yes,
right. And you didn't have any real communism. Are you a red? You could.
Yeah,
You
that's what all Dex needs. He's broke and communist. That should probably be one of the things on. That should be one of the things that you can pick.
That's funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's kind of a big deal in the time period. It's kind of a big deal if that's his
it's super
political
big deal.
leanings. So,
yeah, we were going through some old stuff and kind of reorganizing our garage, and she actually found apparently among her dad's things it had a U.S. flag and a USSR flag.
interesting.
Because he was definitely not into that. But it's like, how often do you have a chance to get a USSR flag? Really?
It's true. We had dad had he found it somewhere. And we just had it floating around the house for a while.
But why not? You know, like it's just random. Anybody knows that you put them on your front porch and really freak out your neighbors.
You're running up the flagpole.
It's just that's what you do with it. Okay, tangent aside, tangents is after you have yourself a light meal and everything like that, your plan is to
Get a cab and go to the casino.
the Allegria. 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 Okay, so the Allegria is pretty much at the end of kind of like a long. Wow.
Wow,
Well, that's what happens when my brain just starts putting together things. It's like, and before I started Twisters, don't get me too bad, but apparently it doesn't help. So at the end of a long sloping road in the suburb of Burbank, not too far from the major motion picture studios, ranch style house. So the house itself seems deceptively quiet, but a person like yourself, a Seamus, all things that give away its true nature. You see, a flicker of movement through drawn curtains. As you approach, you hear the muted murmurs of voices from within. The illicit activities on the inside.
I made sure I brought the chip with me too, by the way.
Okay. As you approach, you start to get the smell of cigarette smoke and hard spirit, expensive colognes and perfumes. And when you get up to the door itself, you see that it's actually guarded by some fairly wide-shouldered men, and their demeanor is pretty unyielding. And you actually don't remember this kind of muscle the last time you came here. Inside, you do hear the chord, like the strains of piano that make out, and you can kind of tell that the air is thick with the anticipation of vice and indulgence. So
I don't have any problem getting past the guards. No. They just let me by.
As long as you don't make trouble.
Okay.
They basically kind of give you a cursory look over. I mean, how do you tell them that you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I've been here before, so I was just wondering if
they kind of, they look you up and down, and you heading in there like you own the joint, or having a purpose being there. They don't really have any reason to stop you since you don't really look like the. Inside the Allegria is a pretty swank joint. As you enter, you pass Chico Marx, generally carousing about as he's talking about And, kind of in an effort to charm her, you see him dip into his trademark Italian accent. You do hear that, once you're in the actual entryway itself, you hear a chanting, warbling out Cole Porter's in the still of the night. And you actually can see Bing Crosby nodding appreciatively as he's throwing dice at some crap tables and everything like that. Again, on the inside, you do see a lot of those same wide-shouldered types. You can actually tell in the light that many of them are carrying guns. You're the main person that you've dealt with in the past. His name is Burl Treehorn. What does Burl look like? Kind of a casino functionary, maybe a
Burl Treehorn. He's kind of a skinny, kind of rodent-looking guy. Thin mustache, hair some too well. He's street level made better, big kind of is kind of
okay.
like he definitely acts like a bigger player than he is, and he's kind of kind of one of those guys.
Okay. Yeah, and so Burl, actually knowing who you are, comes up to meet you and maybe don't have a ton of money to gamble. He kind of suggests, he's like, so what brings you to the casino?
I show him the chip. I go ahead and reach in my pocket and pull up the chip, and I say, what can you tell me about this? How much is it?
He says it's basically it would have been about a $5 chip. So he's just like, it's $5. You're welcome to spend that at the table if you'd like. Kind of curious as to how you can.
Well, Burl, would you mind walking with me a little bit, and so I can?
Sure. Yeah, he's he as you kind of ask him questions and everything like that, you do see, as you kind of go out into the tables, he has kind of got his hand around the waist of one of the cocktail girls and everything like that, and he seems to be just. But Burl, he.
Yeah, so I take Burl, I see if I can get Burl to sit at a table with me.
Okay.
I'm kind of a quiet corner place.
Sure.
When I talk to him,
he doesn't take it. He's like, hey, Dex, I can't really drink on the job. Not at this place. Whitey's been a little stressed, and I don't.
What's Whitey been stressed about?
Oh, he's like, are you sure you want to know about this?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't go into this, but he's like, a lot of this stuff on this side of the road, it tends to be about who he kind of like says it seems to be who's people. There's been some new players in town. And he kind of looks at you and he's like, I think that's all.
That's perfectly fine. I'm sure it's unrelated to what I'm here for. I'm not sure it's unrelated to what I'm here for. I say, have you, is the name Helen Wyken a name that rings a bell? Rings any bells?
He's like, yeah. Miss Deacon's, obviously, she met with Whitey more often than not, but they kind they kind of kept their conversations on the down low. Not something I would really participate in.
Yeah, she was here pretty frequently. So,
And she's like, and he kind of points and he's like, that's, if you don't know, that's her.
yeah,
Dad over there, the one that's losing money.
Yeah,
on
the
the
very
tables,
popular
right?
casino goer. I see. This is specifically about Helen. Helen disappeared a few weeks, or I'm helping investigate where she went for that time. So I'm just trying to gather a timeline and some information on, where she's been, who she's been hanging out with. If I could talk to Whitey about her, it would be great. I don't know if he's going to want to talk to me or not, but if he can, unless you have more information.
He's like, I don't really know much about Helen. I didn't get too close to the clientele. But I would say that I'll go ask Whitey. I mean, he knows you got that $5. Why don't you go and see if you can make it something more, or return it to the house. Let's see. And so he gets a jar and then kind of he goes off to the back where Whitey's office would be.
Yeah, I ordered just a beer, and then I'll go to one of the tables. I'm not gonna go where Royce is because I don't want to talk. Roscoe. I don't want to talk to him quite yet, but I will go to another table.
Okay. So we're gonna roll.
See how good Dex is at gambling.
Could you? So let's get those dice out and tell me what you get. Because, like I said, I've closed as many programs as I can just to make sure we don't.
I got a 3.
So 3.
Okay. Right in the middle.
And is that your only dice that you can play on this?
I only have 1 dice.
Okay.
Yes.
So
damn your target number. That's what I'm gonna say.
Cool. Yep. So let's just say, it seems like here's the choice that you can make. You can either because right now I'm not going to say you hit in advance. But you can either take on an extra problem to get a dice.
I'll accept what I have right now.
Excellent. So to go,
because I don't need a problem that's more broke. Like I don't need that problem.
Yep. So right now, you actually seems like you thought you could push your luck because you were running hot at the changes so quickly. So you now have earned the problem gambling debt.
That's a good thing to have when you're broke. That's it's good to be broke in a better.
Yeah.
How much is my gambling debt?
It's a big amount. You went big. You thought you could ride it, and it's more than you have on your purses right now. So I'm going to say that if you want to keep a couple dollars, it's gone, spent on the table.
Okay, all the cash from Argentican is fine, but that's not debt.
But
that means I owe.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. On top of that, let's put it at $50.
Okay, well, what I'm putting it on is my expenses to Argentican is what I'm putting it on. So I'm thinking at the casino. So yeah. So I'm flustered now, sitting at the table, more broke than I was a moment ago.
It might have been something in the beer.
No, this is just kind of Dex's luck, I think.
Yeah, and they basically, because you know Whitey, Burl is willing to put you on the books for the $50, but that $50 is going to go to this man. And he's like, but you got to pay what you owe. But Whitey, you'll see it now.
Okay. I'll go see Whitey and tell him how much I contributed heartily to his.
So basically, as Burl takes you down, kind of the hallways away from the main gambling areas and everything like that, down to Whitey's office, you do pass kind of a nervous. He's carrying a folder bulging with adding machine tapes. Kind of as you imagine, like kind of someone holding on to them like this, and it's obviously there's too many adding machine tapes. The man checks his watch and kind of speeds up down the hallway away from Whitey's office. In a place like this, he's a guy that.
Oh yeah, he's a bookkeeper of some sort. That's it's probably bad if the numbers aren't adding up, I assume.
Any number of things.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, going on Whitey's office, distinct from the actual casino itself, is pretty much like a sanctuary of rugged manliness. It's very glamorous out. It's spacious, but it is filled with like carefully curated collection of items that like you can see that the walls are adorned with hunting like that. In the center, you have just a massive oak desk. Its surface is polished to a rich kind of satin sheen, but you do see like a very expensive looking brass lamp kind of lighting the area up. And of course you see kind of a very
it all looks expensive to me, and my folding wooden office.
It's basically the opposite of you. And the one other thing that you can see in here that is of note is that on the wall to the right, you see a look very well maintained and ready for use.
I assumed there was rifles in the office somewhere.
And but right now you can see that the high-backed leather chair is empty, and you actually see Whitey, or he kind of beckons you in, not in like a friendly way, but just kind of more of a check to another thing that he asked to do tonight.
Hi, Whitey. Sorry to take up your time, but I do appreciate you meeting with me for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like, Dex, I had a lot of time for you, but what do you need?
I wanted to ask you about Helen Deacon.
And looks at you and he's like, yeah. What kind of questions do you have about Helen?
Ones that might make you uncomfortable, but hopefully not too much. I just wanted to know what kind of boy it was. Because I've been asked to investigate her disappearance.
Well, okay, Dex. I know you're gonna probably try to pry it out. You may guess. I know that she's in a tough place right now, but I mean, I ain't been up to see her because she and I can't believe it. Her dad spends his days just glued to the walls here, and I'm having to sneak around like some teenage boy to see his daughter. I know I love that girl, and if there was something I could do for her, and Dex, I would do it.
Well, what do you know about her disappearance? I find it. We know each other, Whitey, by reputation, if nothing else. Mm-hmm. Your girl disappearing for 2 weeks and then showing up like this doesn't seem like something that wouldn't pique your?
Um, you know, I would say that it, Helen's disappearance, it kind of came here, and even though I was working, and she was usually having to play around and all those kind of things. Um, honestly, the reason she's probably, had that mental break is because she probably being constantly doing this. I mean, she even paid off her dad's debts. Um, and of course her dad's still here, but that battle axe has got a lot to grind down trying to deal with that.
Uh, well, so far things indicate that it wasn't that she wandered off by herself. It was that somebody might have taken her.
I mean, could be those crazy cultists that Helen seemed to be mixed up with. I don't believe in that nonsense. Him that he believes more in the Almighty.
Right.
That they do black magic rituals under the full moon near the Hollywood sign or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I would say that it's probably them who did something.
So there's no indication that anybody maybe involved with you may have kidnapped her to use her for leverage.
Barely anybody knew we were a thing. Did you know we were a thing?
Well, I knew that you've been seen a lot together.
I'm just saying, I mean, just seeing somebody around is not necessarily the same as being a thing.
Well, actually, volume of time usually adds up to a thing.
Maybe.
I mean, and she was beat up. I'm implying that I'm pretty sure somebody took her from the how badly she was abused when she showed up.
Yeah, well, and I don't know. Like I said, none of my guys know anything about that.
Is he being honest?
Yeah, he's not lying to you or anything. Something amiss.
Yeah, because it's weird to me that an officer like this guy is completely hands off about it.
Well, so there is there's a few things. So, you can tell that especially when he started, he got a little defensive, and to him there was probably the implication that he might have been the one doing the hurting.
Oh yeah, I'll tell him no. I don't think he had anything to do with it. I think somebody else had something to do with it.
But you can tell that that's not entirely true as well.
Oh.
But but basically, as you kind of probe a little bit more around the question of why didn't he do something?
Well, just why has?
Well, because first of all, he doesn't really have.
I mean, he has connections.
And he tells you that he would love to bust Helen out of that place, but that's probably because they're keeping her prisoner there. They don't let her go out, because he mentions, we're kind of in a little bit of the spot. And he kind of mentioned, and he goes on to mention that his current troubles they're obviously east. A guy by the name of Bud Barron has been squeezing him on behalf of Bugsy Siegel. And so that's his trouble that he's been dealing with, which has been preventing it. From your knowledge and everything like that, he mentions that he keeps offices in a magazine warehouse of all things, and your knowledge has become somewhat of a mob front. You hadn't really had a time to look into it per se, but you're hearing rumblings about that on the street. bumpy around here. There's nothing to worry about. Guile run those interlopers out of town, just like his predecessor, good old Charlie Crawford, did to Capone in 2016.
Yeah, and I kind of take in that mobster information, but like I'm still kind of surprised in talking about busting her out of Helen Deacon. Like, from what I understand, leave the house anyways. Like, she was hurt pretty bad.
I don't know what to tell you, man. If I could have her by my side and I could take care of her, I would. But I feel she almost has a bigger target on her back right here, and she can't even defend herself in her current state. So,
Well, do you think the guys that are moving out on your guys' territory would have taken her?
I'm only.
And no one said anything to you about her.
I mean, I knew she was gone. We did discover she had disappeared. Obviously her dad doesn't keep anything secret. Other than she just showed up one day, kind of wandering downtown, out of her mind.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I've taken up too much of your time already, Whitey. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
For
Well, and he's like, and he suggests, he's like, if you have it, he's not.
Well, if I get in any trouble, I might take you up on that. But I have this gambling debt that I just know.
Already spending that, I guess.
No, I didn't say that. I let him know. Well, if I have any that you might find actionable, maybe I may give you information. If you hear anything, though, please let me know. And he has my card.
Yeah, he knows who you are.
Indeed.
Okay, and so that kind of is the end of your talk with Whitey.
Yep, Whitey. Yeah.
Okay. He sees you out, and obviously Burl comes and gets you and takes you to, kind of takes you back out on the floor, but he's kind of looks at you and he's like, "Are you done for the night?" Or
I'm done gambling, that's for sure.
Okay.
I can't even afford a secretary anymore. I lament to Burl a little bit. Is the dad still there?
Yeah, he's still there. He's moved tables. Obviously it seems he might be on a rotation or something because he's moved a bit of a distance past where he was. Obviously, his luck is about the same or worse than it was when you saw him originally.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk to him yet because I don't want him to know that his daughter hired me, because I don't know how well that's going to go over. And
Okay.
I don't want him to go back to their palatial estate bitching about me. So I'm going to avoid that for now. So I guess I just head out.
Okay. So basically, as you kind of, you didn't really drop your code in or anything like that. So there's no real reason for you to go to the code.
I probably check my hat.
Yeah. Yeah. You basically, so you get your hat, you head outside. The two burly individuals kind of, watch you leave, kind of stoically making sure that you're on your way out with any kind of, without any kind of issue. And as you get kind of to the parking lot, or what's been designated as a parking lot, an orange fireball erupts from underneath one of the cars and it throws it up in the air. It lands on its back, crushing a couple of the other vehicles. But that means fiery debris is on your way. I would like an athletics challenge.
How good is I have 2 dice in that at least.
Okay, so rolling 1 dice at a time and let me know how it goes.
Well, that's a 2.
Okay, nice.
And the second dice is a 3, so that's a 5 total.
Okay, so basically, this was you have That's a 5. Now, if you want extra dice because you did not hit in advance, you can take on an extra problem, or if you would like to keep where you're at, you can keep where you're at.
So basically, I'm going to get a problem anyways. So is this whether or
That's
not I
not
get
that's
two
not
problems?
necessarily true. No, you're not necessarily getting a problem. And I'm curious, and this would be something to talk about afterwards. Like, do I explain what the different tiers are so you know whether you want to take a problem or not? But as long as you don't hit it in advance, because if you get it in advance, the challenge is over. But past that, I'm letting you decide. If you
Well,
want,
because it doesn't. Okay, pause. Just talk about game mechanics. Because basically, my failure before
was a
meant
setback.
Meant I got a problem.
Mhm.
So I
So
could have.
basically, you're in the range.
Basically, if I would have taken another problem to get another dice, if I would have still failed, I would have 2 problems now.
Correct.
Which that doesn't sound like a good idea. But in this case, and I have no idea how close I am to.
Yeah, let me just double check the rules
advance.
just to make sure that it doesn't say that I should tell you where it is, because I personally feel like knowing what the goals are, is that really is that really what you should do? Like,
Well, it doesn't seem worth the gamble having 3 problems now as opposed to 2.
well, and your original problem as well broke. So you're
Right.
broke gambling debt with.
I mean, just mechanically, narratively, maybe.
Well, narratively, and that's what this is all about. I kind of got it in my mind as I was reading this that, like, unless you hit an advance, because you have an advance, a hold, and a setback, and a hold is basically neither worse off nor better off, and everything like that. So I read the entire challenge out to you.
Am I at a? But I'm am I at a hold now? At least, like, am I just neutral? Like a 5. You do add the dice together, right?
You do, yeah.
So whatever target number is higher than 5.
Well, the advance is higher than 5, so the best result is higher than 5. So, but now you're in the middle portions there.
So if I leave it like this, nothing happens.
Well, I would read to you the challenge results. That's what would happen.
But I mean, do I get a problem or not?
Just a second. Oh, okay. So yeah. So basically, so this is what it says. So I went through the challenge example, and I guess I forgot this, is that you can, so you're still short of the advance number. So the advance being the absolute best result you can get from the challenge. So you have earned a hold result. So at this point, you can either accept your hold result or take on an extra problem in order to get a third die that will help you possibly get an advance,
or screw me further.
No, it can't. You can't be screwed because you can. I mean, you get a problem, right? But I mean, other than that, so whatever that problem is can add a narrative challenge to you, but it doesn't. You can't gain.
I'm just gonna stick with the hold.
Okay, yeah, but I'm just saying you could get an advance, meaning you could get an edge and a push out of the deal if you get above the advance number.
Right, but I don't see the benefit of shooting for that every time you roll a dice.
Oh, that's fair. And in order to get to the advance, I do tell you that the advance is an 11. So
I'd have to roll a 6 on that third dice? Yeah, no.
It would be a pretty
no.
pretty hard number to hit, I guess.
No.
Yeah. Here,
no.
let me just make sure. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's a 10. It would just be a 5 or better.
No, that's still not. No.
So does that make sense? Basically, I should, and this is my bad. I should tell you that to earn an advance, you needed a 10 plus. You rolled a 5, and I would say that's a hold. And then you could choose to take on an extra problem to get another dice to try to get an advance.
Try and get the 10. Yeah.
But then you would take an extra problem. So in this case, just as an example, you'd get the extra problem, object of ridicule. Not sure what that would be looking like, but we could look at that later. So in this case, you aren't hurt, but you were close enough to the blast that your clothes are definitely singed. So you can pretty much expect some smart aleck remarks about that until you get yourself cleaned up with one of your remaining 2 suits or whatever you have left.
But I'm not an object of ridicule.
No. You're not. You're just. It's just more of like you have smoke. That you as you powder your clothes, and you have frayed, burned fringes and stuff like that. more somebody. Comment.
I'm just saying. Is it common for people to laugh at people who just were near an explosion? Because usually people are more worried about people. That
No,
were
I'm more of this is saying that if you went to a coffee shop looking like that, people would give you funny stares. No narrative change to how you play, or no
and I
mechanical
would
change.
just tell them that I got blown up and they should shut up.
You could.
So is anybody I try and see if anybody's hurt. That's the first thing that I do. Since I am not.
As you're looking around, the first thing that you notice is that you seem to be the only person that's at least standing in the parking lot at the time. However, you do see in the front seat of a dinged up Ford coupe, there are two men sitting there, kind of almost as cool as cucumbers. And of course, seeing them kind of just staring at the parking lot and everything like that, kind of not reacting to an explosion, is a little bit weird. There are people, however, that are kind of spilling from the casino, obviously, excited by what's happening, like, oh gosh, what is happening, and all those kind of things.
I'll make it towards the two guys. I'll make it towards the car and try and get the license plate, because them being so cool looking, I believe they probably have something to do with the bomb that went off, because they weren't surprised.
Okay. Kind of, as soon as they see you kind of walking in that general direction, you hear like the ignition fire up, and then
well, I try and make as many mental notes about the guys in the car as possible.
So here's an option, and this is what I think is interesting about this. If you want to, you can spend a streetwise push. And you can have more information about the situation. Otherwise, you can kind of gather the information you can and kind of keep it up there.
I will do a streetwise push for it.
Okay. So you actually, as you kind of get closer and start to, kind of regain your focus and everything like that, you've actually seen these two in this car before. You've actually seen them milling around the A.M. Hillier and Company magazine and newspaper warehouse down on Pico Street. You've seen a lot of unsavory characters gravitating towards that lately, and this kind of car just is kind of the shock, kind of like brought it forefront to your memory there, so that they've been in that area quite a bit.
Okay. And I know they're communists.
Mobsters, more than likely, than communist.
They're capitalists. Okay. All right. Well, I make a mental note of the guys. I'm not sure that they have anything to do with my case, so I'm not sure I care. But if Whitey is going to break my legs, maybe I can tell him later that that's who it was.
Basically, so as you kind of like are dusting yourself off, one of the characters that you do see coming out of the casino is Bing Crosby, and you can actually see him groaning in horror that it was actually his car that got blown up. Kind of flanking him, though, you do see Whitey and Burl grabbing him kind of as his knees give out, and you can hear Whitey telling him, this wasn't aimed at you, Mr. Crosby. It's a message for me. And then Whitey makes promises that he's going to keep being out of whatever this business is and everything like that. And Burl actually ushers the still shaky Crosby to another vehicle, and seems to drive him off after that point.
Right. They're obviously trying to impact his customer base.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that has anything to do with Helen. So I'll take that into consideration. And I think explosions and gambling debt is a good reason to get home, to make it home. But I don't have enough money for a cab, do I?
You have a couple dollars, you said. Yeah.
Okay.
Couple dollars in the sock that probably get you at least part of the way.
It was going to be a long walk home. So yeah, I'll get a cab for as far as the money will take me.
Okay. And then our hard-boiled Seamus is walking down the streets considering his leads. Why did Bing Crosby's car get blown up? You know, kind of doing the internal monologue, smoking a cigarette as you.
No, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I know why Ben Crosby's car got blown up.
That's true.
I just don't know. I'm trying to figure out how Ben Crosby relates to Helen Deacon. Obviously, I should have questioned Ben Crosby.
Excuse me, Mr. Crosby.
So Crosby, I need to talk to you.
Have you found religion?
have you been cavorting with a young lady named Helen Deacon?
And so on that, I think that's a good pausing point for this week.
You reprobate.
Retrobate. I like that as
retrobate. Is it because it's Ben Crosby there would be retrobate?
I don't know. I don't even know if that's a thing. So kind of reminded me, because you said retrobate, that I was there was a car on Reddit that I saw that everyone was like, what is this design style? And apparently it's something called super graphics. It's have you ever heard of that before? It's a very bold, like 70s design style or something like that. That's like, when you looked at some sports teams, they had it, but it usually involves like very bold coloring and everything. And I was like, it's crazy to me that every time you see one of these weird kind of design aesthetics from something that's being used, you're like, oh, it actually has a name, like super graphics. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, brutalist is the thing.
Yeah, it's true. So. It's true. It just always fascinates me, because I am so ignorant of all the different design styles and everything like that. Unless I come across them apparently in an RPG. Brutalist came up in what? Candela Obscura. Super graphics came up on Reddit. Like,
I'll have to see if I can find that. RPPR, Role Playing Public Radio, talked about a website that has a visual record of design styles throughout history.
Oh, neat.
Like, you can go through and you can see examples of everything, like postmodern, Victorian, brutalist, probably super graphics. I'll have to see if I can figure out what it was. I can't remember. I think that's what it was, but I can't remember what it was. What it was.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So just so you know, we're gonna pause there. We're gonna leave it at the exploding fireball, Bing Crosby being whisked away. And
always, Bing Crosby is always a good cliffhanger.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I think share that with me. I'd be curious, because I think that, learning about different design aesthetics allows you to add variety, or it allows you to tailor your descriptions of places and things like that.
I'll see if I can find it. Well, I'll see if I can figure out if that's what it was, and then try and find it for you.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Because it was something like that, but I don't remember if it was exactly that or not.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd be curious, because, like I said, I every so often, like, I learn a new term, like cassette futurism. What was it? Cassette futurism was something like just the way that type of
cassette punk.
Cassette punk, that could be a new. Is that a thing? Let's see.
I just made it up, but probably,
because there is cassette futurism, and apparently cassette punk. No, they just call it cassette futurism. People don't. Nope. Okay. 90s cassette punk unknown 2 LPs. Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's a band. Cassette punk is a band?
Apparently. And apparently Reddit has already asked, is there a good cassette punk RPG?
That's funny.
And that was 4 years ago. They were a long ways ahead.
There's some retro futurism for you.
So here's what they say. So this is 4 years ago, the RPG world. There's a game called Tales from the Loop that's retro 80s future. Okay. Cyberpunk 2020 is a classic, but is retro future as well. I mean, I don't even know, what would cassette punk really just be? Is that just another label for cyberpunk, like in retro futurism?
I have no idea.
Because the OP says cyberpunk seems a little too techy, kind of the same issue I have with Shadowrun. So I kind of feel like it's they're looking for that cassette futurism, where kind of the small Apple computers are the highest technology, big data banks, blinking lights, buttons that you push to stop the nuclear reactor from blowing up. Um,
Levers.
Okay. Mothership is what they suggested 4 years ago. VHS Tape Future. What?
Interesting.
Let's see. Let's see. Solar Blade and Cosmic Spells. Okay. Somebody says it's kind of a Star Wars heavy metal Last Starfighter type game. Check out Dead Halt by Zonware. Dead Halt is a role-playing game about the megalithic hotel, clunky computer consoles, modded humans going haywire, and wonderful adventures.
Sounds
I've
like
never even heard. I've never even heard of Dead Halt.
Sounds like a Troika game.
So easy to run, as the DM can borrow modules from any other game and allow the elevator's doors to open to it. It does sound Troika in that regard. You know, instead of it being the crystal spheres, it's elevators to different realities or whatever it is. That's kind of fun.
By the way, on our action economy video, someone suggested that we look up neoclassical Greek.
Neoclassical Geek, wasn't it?
Was it Geek? Oh, did you see it?
Yeah. Neoclassical Geek Revival.
There you go.
It's got a second edition. Neat.
Because they seem to like the action economy in that game quite a bit.
Zarkov Kowalski. I can't say that I've ever actually heard of it or anything like that, but according to this, the second edition was added to the catalog on DriveThru RPG in 2021. It's a take on classical RPGs to the extent that none of the original mechanics survive. Wait, what?
Interesting.
Okay. It says there's a preview that you could pick up, I guess, somewhere. But right now, the soft cover black and white book, which it looks like it's kind of a zine, is only $5 on this.
Oh, maybe I'll look into it.
Yeah, so that's what we do. Troll around on Reddit looking for games to play, or other places. I mean, really, just anywhere we happen to end up, you know, wherever the links may go. I'm actually curious as to what this. Oh, I feel like Palladium's riffs.
There you go. See, it's right there. You just need to reach your hands out.
Just grab for it. No, thank you.
I told you I backed the Savage Worlds Rift books, the reprints, right?
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
I think you mentioned you were thinking about it, but I don't think
someday we're gonna do a Rifts game. Someday, somebody's gonna run one. I guess it'll probably be me at some point. I just don't even know, like, what story would I tell in a Rifts game?
What do you mean? What story? Obviously, the coalition taking over the world, or slavers. I mean, there's that.
Obviously, an epic one.
Yeah, I mean, really, you can go anywhere with Rifts, which is kind of the point.
You can go anywhere with Rifts, and that's kind of the problem, actually.
Yeah, what is it? You have choice paralysis. You're like, I can do anything.
What type of story do I tell about your cyborg, your dog face, your superhero guy,
and
your mutant,
juicer,
and your juicer? Oh, and a wizard.
Yeah, and the wizard.
Yeah,
and a glitter boy, just for fun. Actually, I'm curious. Are there any Rifts adventures?
there is.
Because I don't remember. I guess I remember seeing like the source books and stuff like that, but I don't remember seeing adventures. I guess
They're out there. Rifts, any good first time adventures for this system?
What does that say?
Because the answer is no. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, here you should read the first comment.
Shit, you're playing Rifts? Question mark. That one?
Yeah, because I found it. I was just like, oh, that's got to be easy to find.
Oh god, that's hilarious.
So in many game systems, it can be cool to mix source books together because there are some really cool classes, equipments in different places. If you want a sense of balance in your game, do not mix Rift source books. The power differences are staggering. It's like having a Dr. Manhattan in your party in some cases. If everyone is from the same source book, you should be okay. I do remember seeing one adventure on the RPG archive. And so the next person is like, maybe I'm a bit weird in this regard, but I felt from a very early point that this is more or less the entire point of Rift was to have power imbalance.
Yep, it is. You have your techno wizard and your vagabond, your random hobo that's that's with the party. It'd be like if we took characters from every game we played last year and put them all together in one world in one game. So you have like my hobo from Vason. You have your detective from Delta Green, and you have I don't know, Mike's or Jeff's wizard from some game.
I'm reading through this and people are saying that there's only really like an intro adventure in like the book, and then there's a game there's an adventure in the Robotech book or something.
Yeah, there's little adventures and lots of the core books, but like they're not very good.
Yeah.
I mean, they exist, but that's not the like. This is one of those things that like, yeah, Rifts is kind of made to build your own story. I think it's just the story Kevin Symbieta wants you to tell.
Yeah. I was just curious because I played a lot of Rifts in the beginning, but we just ran homebrew stuff where we were just running around.
I think that's mostly what you have to do.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about it, but I was like, is there an actual Rifts adventure? Yeah, because that's obviously.
Let's see. Your Mind Melter, your Juicer, your Dog Boy, and your Techno Wizard walk into a bar. That's the start of your story.
And Leyline Walker. I mean, you got to have a Leyline Walker. I do the art for Rifts. I've always kind of appreciated, like the Leyline Walker, just kind of like grasping at the lightning.
You like the good pictures. There are ones that aren't good.
Same thing with any RPG, though.
What was I trying to do? Oh, I was trying to talk to my buddy Jason into running Rifts again, and I just kept sending him. I think for a week, I would send him one bad Rifts art every day. I'd just find one, copy and paste, and send it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did you check your Facebook Messenger?
I
have one phrase for you, Mike. Draw steel.
Wait, Matt Coville ?
That's his handle on Blue Sky. It's him.
Knock knock, lumbering egress demon for Dross.
Yeah. And his comment is, look at this fucking thing. Draw steel. Like you're gonna fight it.
Well, wouldn't you have to? Like, I mean, isn't that
I guess.
I would think I think you'd have to fight it at that point.
Your pillar monster there, probably.
Yeah. No, I get it. So nope, I did not see that.
I just like reminding you of that catchphrase.
Hey, whatever. It is a deal. It is what it is, I guess. I'll play it, because we have to play it or something. But
well, you bought it, so
I did buy it. I bought it and have to play it. That's true. Yeah, that's kind of.
I'm trying to convince myself that's true because there's a lot of games that I've bought that I didn't believe that.
Really?
I bought them and didn't play them.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
We're catching up though.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, GURPS 3rd edition is what I've got, but I'm gonna pick up 4th edition for us, and then I do have the hero system up there if we want to do superheroes.
Isn't that Palladium too?
No, it's is it?
I think it is. I think it's the Palladium hero system.
Oh, maybe. No, it's Stephen S. Long. I don't think it's Palladium.
There is a Palladium hero system because you can incorporate superheroes into your Rifts game.
Yeah. No, the heroes system. I have the 6th edition, and I actually was kind of curious because when you had asked that question, like what was the most expensive game I hadn't played, and I discovered that inflation from when I bought this book would make the book almost $20 more expensive today than when I first purchased it. But the good news is the pages are still crisp. Yep.
Indeed. I was going to put Fading Suns 3rd edition on there. That one that I kickstarted and got all the stuff for, but I played it.
Yeah.
So I know I hate it. It isn't just sitting on my shelf hopeful going, oh man, I'm going to play that someday and I'm going to love it. No, it sits on my shelf and I go, God damn it, I hate that game.
You just hate it. Absolutely. Well, I mean, you never know.
I do like the 2nd edition rules though. That's what I started reading after watching Dune Prophecy.
Oh, right on. Because there's only 2 episodes out for Doom Prophecy, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
watched the first one.
Yeah, we're taking our sweet time watching it because we have to watch it in chunks. But I'm digging it. I'm enjoying the heck out of it so far.
There's a lot that I didn't know. Like I didn't know about their robot thing, the AI thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't know that's where it starts. Kind of.
yeah, with the Butlerian Jihad or whatever it is,
Yep.
or Bootlerian, whatever it is.
It's
Uh,
Butlerian, I think.
yeah, but well, it was funny because Kelly, my wife, didn't also know much about that. So she was just like, "Well, why would they have the same technology for 10,000 years?" And I was like, "Well, unfortunately, they kind of decided to get rid of all the thinking machines. So technology kind of is more stagnant and esoteric now than it is
Mhm.
than anything else. And the fact that it lasts for 10,000 years is more amazing than anything."
Right. It's sort of that Warhammer 40K conceit, like probably stolen from Dune, where it's the dark ages of technology, where like technology exists, but you kind of know it as
Bad thing.
like magic like it's more like magic. Like
Hmm.
I do this thing. Like that was the principle that I always thought was funny in like 40K is like you do this you say this prayer, you do this thing, and then you hit a button and the machine works, and
Hmm.
that's all you really know.
The
And like
tech
everyone,
priests and
yeah,
everything.
and everybody's like, well, that's dumb. And then we work for companies where it's like, well, no one knows how it really works now. We just do this thing and it works.
We have to do this esoteric number of steps that the last tech priest left us,
Yeah.
and it works when we follow
And I was like,
the
that's
sacred steps.
exactly how technology works. If that one guy leaves your company that designed everything, everybody's like, I don't know, we just do it the way he told us to, and it works. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And then when that breaks because we do some updating somewhere, then we're screwed.
Exactly.
But no, it's good. Honestly, I feel like when she watched it, I don't think she understood like the mentats and like what role the mentat like really was playing because they're like supercomputer brains basically,
Right, and that's what
and
they're
everything.
for, is
And
for the
it's like
calculation. Yeah.
yeah, they're replacing machines and everything, and I'm like, and it's like so rich in lore, considering like all these things that are placed out. And I'm assuming that if you were to like read through his notes, just the jottings that he made about the universe and everything like that, it's just my understanding. And I actually tried to read the first book that like because Brian Herbert wrote
Mhm.
some stuff out there too, and it just I don't remember what it was called, but I just started trying to listen to it, and I was like, I don't think it's the same quality.
Well, right, like Herbert wrote the first 3 books?
No, he wrote he wrote the 6 books that are
6.
in the Dune series. I think it's 6 books. But then he had notes for like Minior, and then what you see is that like um that after, because I mean he also wrote other books besides the Dune books and everything like that. But
No,
he
don't buy it.
no. Okay.
No.
But like if you look at like the Dune saga, like the Butlerian Jihad is basically where it starts, and that one was written by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson, and that's the one I tried to listen to. So it got really good reviews online, but as I was listening to it, I was just like, "Ooh."
Yeah, you need to run a Dune game too.
I do. I think that just takes a lot more, um, a lot more.
I'm going to work on something for Fading Suns game, so maybe you can get
Mhm.
your pseudo Dune fix through that.
Yeah, maybe. Um,
Have you ever read any of the Fading Suns lore?
mm-mm.
I mean, there's noble houses, there's shields, which I feel are 2 big parts of the that are directly ripped off from Herbert, and they do pretty well. They're pretty neat, implemented pretty neat in the game. So,
Yeah.
and then
Well, I
there's
mean,
psychics and priests, and
yeah. Well, honestly, if you're going to rip off a setting, though,
no, it's not a bad property to rip off, and it would feel less like it was ripped off if it weren't the shields really make it feel like it was like the nobles wearing dueling shields, which are the same sort of thing. Like you have to minimize your damage to go through the shield.
mhm,
I think is how the mechanic works. Like you can't hit it as hard as you would
mhm.
a regular person, which is like the slow blade.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that they tried to capture some of that stuff.
Yeah, but the second edition seems. The second edition is work. So another funny thing. So I was reading the book, and we can stop the stream sometime, but I'll talk about this on the stream. So I was reading the book, the second edition Fading Suns book, and like the mechanics don't work at all how I remember running the game before. So like it was either the first edition that I ran, um, or I completely ran all of the rules incorrectly in the second edition. Because like I remember it being a pool system, like a White Wolf pool system, like and you roll D10. Yeah.
And you were just like, this is not. It might have been a different edition.
But the second edition is a roll under system, a D20 roll under system. Right. So
it's
like
pretty different. I
I
mean,
either misinterpreted it because I was pretty young when I ran it. I either misinterpreted it really bad, or the first edition is a completely different roll mechanic. I think it might be that I ran first edition.
you probably because like I know we suck at role playing games, but I have to say that you probably would have been like, okay, roll D10 versus roll D20.
I assume somebody would have corrected me.
Well, I'll be honest, none of them probably read the book.
That's probably no, because like I have the one rules guy would Jason and my rules guy would have read the rules and known. He probably would have pointed it out. So it was probably first edition that I was reading, but it's just weird that I was reading. I was like, I don't remember any of these mechanics working this way.
You just skipped an entire edition or whatever. Like,
yeah,
maybe it works better that way though. Because honestly, no,
I like the roll under systems. I think it worked really well.
No, I'm saying the roll under system is probably works better for what you're.
Oh, it's definitely an upgrade. Yeah. It also has a life path system to create a character. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm almost curious if we just didn't do the life path system on another stream or something like that, just to try it out. And like, I'm talking from like the Burning Wheel, because I think that's like almost in its own way.
We should do we should talk about life path, part of that character creation conversation that we didn't get into.
Yeah. So, but that's enough chatting. I think we're good.
Gotcha.
I don't see any questions or anything in the chat, so that's okay.
I think we're good.
We hope everybody that got to this point enjoyed Cthulhu Confidential. If you do like other games that you want to see us play or butcher or enjoy, let us know. Just shoot them in the comments, shoot them in the chat next time we stream or something like that, and we'll be happy to at least look at them. We can't promise that we'll play every game, but we'll at least take a look at it. We like supporting the cause, for the cause kind of thing.
Yeah.
And hope everybody had fun. So
yeah, thank you everybody. Anybody who listens to this now or later, have a good one.
Take care.